Welcome back to the Potted Together podcast. My name is Becca, and I haven't led an episode in such a long time. This feels weird. But I'm joined by my co-hosts, Adam and Nicole.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, you guys. Lay it on him. Wait. What episode? Sorry. We are going to be discussing... why does this feel so weird? Hi, I'm Becca. This is Adam and Nicole. And this is our podcast. And today we are going to be catching up. And we are also going to... we are going to be discussing how to curate your perfect houseplant collection. Because, there's a lot of houseplants out there. Lots of different environments in which these houseplants can live and different styles. And so we want to help you hone in what is for you. And yeah, so before we do that, we've got to ketchup and mustard. And I need one of you guys to go first. Desperately.
Oh, man. I'll go. I was waiting for Nicole to
silence.
There's always that awkward moment. If something interesting happened in my week, I'm like, okay, I'll go, but this is where I'm at.
Nicole, she was just not making eye contact. I was okay. Hi everybody. I feel like my week's been pretty chill. Not much has happened. Yeah. Worthless.
Okay.
This weekend I went on a little tiny brewery tour with my friend Zach and Steve. We hit up a couple breweries in town because that's another love of mine, craft beer. So that was a good time. And then I had a friend in town from high school. Literally the one person I still talk to from high school. It's so weird. Do you guys have any of those high school friends?
Yes.
Yeah,
you do.
I have two. One is a childhood friend though, so I feel like we're family.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think two technically are on a consistent basis that I talk to.
Yeah, I have one that's a childhood friend, and the other is my sister, my stepsister, so...
Yeah. Well, my friend Val, she has a big family. And so she had, I think there's 6 or 7 kids. I should know the number, but Val was in my class. Then her sister Sarah was in a class below me. Then her sister Kristen was 2 classes below me, but a small school, everybody knows everybody, So it's kind of weird being around all these humans that I've known mostly from when I was in school, even though I've seen them after school, but everyone's grown-ups now. It's so strange to be around that. We went shopping and they were all looking for things for their kids, and I'm can't relate. I am, where's my clothes? Let's get out of this kids section. What are you doing? But it was good to catch up and hang out with them. Yeah, so other than that, I don't know. My week's been pretty chill. This weekend I don't think I did much. I hate that I'm lapsing in my memory right now. I was what did I do?
That's how I am.
We've had some pretty big storms here in Arizona though, so it's been nice. It's been every 3-day kind of thing,
How hot is it out there though?
It's hot. Yeah.
Shit's got to be real unstable to have storms that often in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, it is monsoon season, and this is the first time that I've been here where, monsoon season actually had rain,
Yeah.
So...
It's going to be so green. When you look into the mountains, they're probably going to look, so green.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty... And,
well, I don't know if Phoenix has that.
Our dead grass in our yard is turning green. But I don't do any. We really need to redesign our backyard and get some landscapers to give us a quote, because there was a big patch of grass when we bought this, but obviously we're not upkeeping that. Like I don't even our irrigation in our ground is broken, so it's not even been used, nor do I want to use it.
Yeah.
So the grass is turning green, but I just want it all to be gone. I just want someone to come in and take away the rocks because I hate them. I want new ones and the grass, and I just don't want to do any of that myself. Like I don't even. It
That's
sounds
a lot of work.
awful. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a reason that people hire landscapers. It's not easy. It's hard work.
No. Yeah, it is very hard work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it from my side of the world.
Yeah. Well, I
Pretty
mean,
boring.
nothing special over here, but speaking of like weather, like the whole globe is on fire right now. Did you guys see what's going on in like the UK? Is it the UK?
The
heat
heat.
wave?
I had a dream about that.
Really?
You did?
Oh God.
Yes, I had a dream that it was 121 degrees in the UK.
Oh. Well,
And-
they're not
But that's
far
not.
from it.
Air conditioning is not a thing there.
It's not. They've never had to like need it up until now. And something like over 1,000 people have died so far from this specific heat wave out there.
Oh, wait, I didn't hear
Oh
that.
my gosh.
It's awful. It's awful. And I'm just like, how can you look at this situation and think that climate change is a hoax? Like, explain this to me in the simplest form. Like, I don't get it. It's wild. Yeah. It's so wild. But yeah, it's been 90s here all week. And like I could go outside. I could be outside if I'm in the shade and there's like a little breeze. But like the second I step into the sun, it's like I'm a gremlin. Like I turn into another person and I need to just get in the house. It's awful. But I'm shooting a wedding on Saturday. And I've been off for the past 2 weeks because it was mine and Jay's anniversary this past Sunday. And we ended up not doing anything because we're saving for next year. So that's like ultimately what we decided. But I've been off for the past 2 weeks. So I've really been catching up on like editing. I've been doing some filming. And now I have a wedding this Saturday. And it's going to be the hottest it's been in the past 2 weeks. It's going to be like heat index 105. And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
Please don't want pictures outside. Please.
You need to get one of those fans that go around your neck and just like point up at your face.
I have. My mom just gave me
Yes.
one of those cool neck wraps. So I'm going to give that a go. But those fans look pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen ones that clip to the back of your pants and they like
Oh.
blow cold air up your shirt. That sounds nice too.
That
Yeah, it
sounds
does.
great because they'll be getting sweaty back there. It's like so swampy. Oh, and the cicadas are out. They're back. They are disrupting all filming. That's what they're doing.
Yes.
They're on a mission to be like, listen, you're not going to record anything for the next at least month because we're going to be loud as shit all day long. And I was doing some research. I don't know if I talked about this on the podcast yet, but I was doing some research about like those 17-year cicadas that come up like every 17 years. And in 2024, the entire Chicagoland area, like in all surrounding suburbs, will be covered with these 17-year cicadas. And I'm just thinking, like, what are people going to do if they have their outdoor wedding booked? Like, can you imagine that?
Oh no.
Adam, were you in
speaking-
Illinois
You wouldn't be able to hear
17
anything.
years ago?
What?
Were you in
No,
Illinois 7?
I was in Nebraska.
Okay. Well, I was pregnant. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, speaking from someone who doesn't get to hear those noises, like it would actually be kind of nice to like hear a video with cicadas. I don't know.
Well, I got you covered. I'll send you a video later.
Okay.
Actually, I don't think it's the 17-year ones. I think it's the 14-year ones. It has to be the 14-year ones because I was pregnant with Mia the last time they were here. And like you couldn't be outside. Like they were everywhere. You couldn't walk on the ground without stepping on dead ones. It was like the grass would just flutter. It was horrific. And I'm just like, what are people going to do? I'm so curious. Like I'm going to have to take the summer off because I'm not going to be able to shoot any weddings outside.
Yeah. Wait, Adam, you don't have cicadas there? I'm confused.
Wait, did you in Tucson?
My mom said there were
Yes,
cicadas.
absolutely.
Oh, well, maybe I'm just like not paying attention.
Well, they really like Palo Verde trees.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have any of those.
I don't.
I don't remember seeing. Yeah, they like to live in those. Like at my apartment in Tucson, we had like 4 huge Palo Verde trees, and it was deafening, like constantly. So I'm like shocked that you.
Well, now
don't
I'm
hear
gonna
that
have to
there.
listen. I'm gonna have to listen for them.
They might not be there
Yeah.
yet, and maybe they're just like. Because I remember when I visited my mom a couple years ago, I heard them a couple times, but it was nothing like here.
And
It
your
was-
mom was kind of on the outskirts of where like new buildings weren't happening. You know,
Right.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to listen for him now, though.
Yeah.
But it makes me think, like, what is the purpose? Kind of like
Well-
ticks. Like, what is the purpose of like this 14-year cicada? Like being like, oh, every 14 years, I'm just gonna come say hi. I don't get
Yeah,
it.
it's like some Jeepers Creepers shit, isn't it? Like, why are you in the ground for 14 years? But like allegedly, because I did a little Googling earlier, that they come up in these droves and like packs because they're trying to protect themselves against there goes that word again.
Predators.
Yes, predators. They're trying to protect themselves. I need like Prevagen or something. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. So like they come up in that amount so that they can protect themselves from predators, so that hopefully enough of them survive to go on and mate and to keep the population going.
Weird.
But they're they're like packed with protein, so they're a great source of food for birds and like other animals, I think, too.
Humans too.
Oh, fuck that. Sorry.
Like, could you though? Like, if you were
No.
on Fear Factor and they were in the second challenge, which is always the gross one, they were like, you have to eat 3 locusts.
Nope. Fuck that and fuck that show too, because I
cicadas.
I couldn't even watch that show. No, absolutely not.
But like $1 million? No, you
$1
wouldn't
million,
even.
no. Yeah.
You wouldn't eat
my
it for
gosh,
$1 million?
I totally would.
I don't know. I don't think I could. I don't think I
All
could.
of our problems.
Ugh.
People say money doesn't solve problems. I disagree.
I
Bring
totally
happiness.
disagree.
I absolutely disagree. That's such a privileged thing to say.
It really is.
Would make life way easier, and I'm very happy.
Yeah, I want to know who created that stupid saying.
See, I think I could do it for
Oh
$1
my
million
gosh.
if they weren't alive. But like, if they were alive and I had to chew them to death, I don't know if I could do that. I mean,
And
I
they start
probably would.
screaming as you bite down. Oh,
If it's been prepared for you on a platter,
covered
and
in
all you gotta
chocolate?
do is
Possibly.
okay, but like I would consider just swallowing it whole. Like it can't be that much bigger than a pill.
Yeah,
Right?
it is. Those
Yeah,
things
it
are
is. There were
huge.
3 on my freaking
Those
screen
things
door
are like
earlier.
the size of a circus peanut.
You'd have to chew it.
What?
You would have to chew it.
Okay.
Cicada,
See,
yeah.
just don't think about it. Wait, speaking of chewing it, there was this one time I was in a skit at this Bible camp, and there was this skit. This is so unsanitary. Thinking about this in a post-COVID world is horrifying. But there was a skit where it's called Baby Bird, and so you can just imagine what happens. But basically, it's the funniest skit watching it, though.
Oh, God.
I got to participate, and I was stoked. And so basically, it's a parents, like a fake parent, a fake family, and this boyfriend brings home his girlfriend, and like for a meal, and like the mom is like, "Well, sweetie, I guess we'll just get started." And I was the mom, and so
You have to
I
regurgitate.
bit into food. Yes, I bit into food, and I chewed it up, and I spit it into my son's mouth. And then, like, because I was the mom, I didn't have to get any into my mouth. So there was this time, because and like the skit was like, not free flowing. What is it when you're just kind of
Improv.
Yeah, it was an improv skit. So there was a point where I was trying to spit this food into my fake husband's mouth, but like people kept talking and like just improv was not moving fast enough. And so it was to the point where I was going to swallow the food. And then the moment came where I had to spit it into his mouth. And it was like soggy bread. Like I had chewed it. Like I was chewing it for a very long time.
Wait, and you
And
actually
I was like,
had to
"Oh,
do that?
shoot." No, yeah, it was a part of the skit. I chewed the food and spit it into somebody's mouth.
What is that teaching anyone? Biblically. I'm so confused.
It's not. It's comedy. It's not. There's no biblical sentiment. It's just comedy.
Just for funsies. Let's just regurgitate food into each other. Okay.
Yeah. So it's like slop. Like think of the soupiest poop. That's what it was.
Texture's a big trigger for me. Ugh. I can't eat Jell-O because of it.
Yeah. The guy took it like a champ though. Like I felt so bad and I just like plopped it into his mouth and he like heaved really big and then like swallowed it and I was like, oh God.
I don't know how that, like, I want to know who thought of this skit. I have a lot of questions. I want to know, like, why? Like, why?
There's probably a video of this skit on YouTube if you want to look it up.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of do.
Not of me, but
okay.
Other
I was
people.
hoping it was of you. I wanted to see.
I would probably watch
there's
that
a video somewhere, but I never this wasn't a time in life when like recording video of things wasn't that important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was a clear distinction in my life when I started like really intentionally taking photos and videos of my life. It really did correspond with my channel, but it made me realize like I have so many memories that I really don't have any photo or video of, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But like my first trip to Europe, I have like a handful of photos, no videos. I'm like, how do I not have a single video from that trip?
Yeah.
Like I never even thought to take a video. It's so weird.
Yeah. I know me and Jay were looking for a photo, like any photos or videos that we took like the day that we decided to make our relationship official. And I was like, oh my God, we didn't take any pictures that day. And he's like, we didn't take any pictures at all. Like the first few years of our kids' lives, there's not a lot there, you know? And that makes me sad because it's like, but it also makes sense because it's just phones didn't have photo access like that back then. You know?
And then you would also have to like put down the 40s in both of your hands and like who has time for that?
Who has time for that? You know? So much more important things going on. How did you know we drank 40s? Did I tell you that?
We've had this conversation before because I thought that you played Edward 40 hands, you know, where you would duct tape the 40s to your hands. Did you guys ever do that in college?
No, but I've heard of it.
No.
Okay. And so I thought that that's how you and Jay met. Like you guys were playing that game at a party. I don't know why that was in my head, but maybe it's because you told me you drank 40s and I was just assuming you duct taped them to your hand.
Adam, do you know why you played that game before?
Shut up.
Because you were in a fraternity. And I say fraternity because I'm nice. I really want to say frat, but I'm going to say fraternity. Fraternity. Because you're in a fraternity, that's why.
Yeah.
No, we drank them because they were cheap. That's why we drank them.
That's funny.
Wow, we went on a ride there from cicadas to chewing food and spitting in each other's mouths. Like,
I mean, we haven't even heard Becca's week.
Wow. I'll keep it short and sweet. The week was pretty wild. We had 4 children in our home, and I didn't think it was going to be bad, but I did think that I would be more overwhelmed. But it really was so normal, and like they were very self-sufficient. Like they're not 5, so it was fine. Like if we weren't entertaining them, they would just play a video game, and I was like, okay, cool. And, you know, after a while, I got sick of listening to little boys play video games, and we played board games, and we just, like, found things to do, and, like, I don't know, hanging out with kids that age, like, they're all, like, middle school age, like, it makes me sad that, like, I don't know. I'm taking a deep end dive here into, like, a little emotional, but, like, it makes me sad that, like, I can't really be a teacher. Like I can, but you know what I mean? Like I'm not willing to like be a martyr and like sacrifice like my happiness and my finances to be a teacher. Like I'm just not willing to do that. So that's what I mean when I say that. It just makes me sad because I really, really connect with that age group, and like it's just fun. Like they're just really funny and sweet and cute, and just to like they're like grown up, but they're not. And I just really love that. And like a couple days ago, I woke up really early in the morning and I was like, I need to look and see if there's any teaching positions in Columbia, because what if I just did it for a year?
Yeah.
It's school year starting soon. Like they're probably like desperately trying to fill spaces because of the Missouri school system might actually be worse than Arizona. Mm-hmm. And I looked and there was 2 positions for an English ELA and history teacher for middle school, which is what I taught. And I was just like, someone give me a reason. Like in my mind, I was like, someone give me a reason not to apply for this, because I'm pretty sure if I applied, I would get it, because they're desperate and I'm a good candidate. Yeah. Just gonna be honest, I would be great. But I was like, give me a reason not to do this. Like, and so then I just like throughout the last couple days, like I've just seen actually a lot of really like bad things come out about Missouri schools, and it's just not funded. It's terrible. It's, I think, worse than Arizona, like I said. So I'm like, okay, no. But I told myself that if we ever like come to a decision to move like out of the US, which we might for a couple years just to experience it, I think then I would try to be a teacher for that period of time, like while I'm out of the country, because I would definitely need something to keep myself occupied. I don't know what my job would look like with YouTube. Like I would love to keep doing YouTube, but I don't know what that would look like. So I feel like having some stability in like a 9-to-5 might be kind of nice for those years. I don't really know, but anyway, that's been a little career. I have a career-based existential crisis once a quarter, so or maybe once a month more recently.
I do too, though. And I have, like, people are just like, oh, you were meant to be a wedding. And I'm like, really? I'm glad you are so confident about that. But I go back and forth about being back in the corporate world, or, you know, doing daycare again. Like all these things, I go through these waves. So that's totally normal. Have you ever thought about like starting your own class based around like homemaking? Did we talk about this, or did you post about this online?
Yeah, we both.
Okay.
Somebody asked me in the anonymous question box.
Okay.
Oh, that would be a fun episode if we did an anonymous question box.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
Potted Together. I really enjoyed that.
Potted Together.
That was fun. I'll do it. Yeah,
I thought I would get like, okay, I thought I would get weird stuff, but like people were actually asking like very good and thoughtful questions. And I'm like, I wouldn't be offended by any of these. Like, I'm sad that people don't feel comfortable just to ask. I mean, am I? I don't know if I am sad about that, but either way, like when people know that their identity is hidden, they're more willing to ask like candid questions, which I think is cool. As long as they're respectful. But somebody asked me like what my dream job would be, or if I wasn't a YouTuber, what would I do? And I said I would really love to like teach like home ec and like
that's what it was.
Teach kids to sew, and like not like I want to like create little homemakers or anything. I mean, that would be cool, but like I wouldn't consider myself a homemaker. I'm not really like that, but I do like making things and like empowering myself to build things. And I think that would be really cool to introduce that to kids, because they're just as capable of like using tools as I am.
Right. And
like the whole idea of like making things yourself has been kind of lost, and it's oftentimes cheaper just to buy it already made. And, you know, it's just like this whole thing that is like this old art that is gone.
Yeah. And
I would love to like revitalize that, because there's a lot of pride in that. So yeah, I think ultimately it would be so cool to do like a summer camp or something. That would be so fun to like organize a summer camp, like as an alternative to VBS, because VBS is like oftentimes used as childcare because it's free. And so like, what if you don't want your kid to go to VBS? Not that VBS is always bad, but you know, like what if you don't vibe with that? Like, where do you send your kids? Like, oh, how fun would it be to have like a camp where they learn about like the great outdoors and making things anyway.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like, and once you get the greenhouse done, it'd be cool to like do some plant stuff, or then like maybe another day you do gardening, another day you do like home ec stuff like inside, and that would be really cool.
Yeah, it would be super fun, like just like a week program and have it run like several times throughout the summer. I just think that'd be so fun. So anyway, I don't know. I've always got my head in the clouds. I'm one of those people. But
I also think that if you did move out of the US, I know what you're saying is like you don't know where your channel would be because you'd have to probably get rid of literally all of your stuff. But none of us started a YouTube when we first started like getting plants because we were just trying to understand them ourselves. And it would be kind of fun to watch someone like, because you already have the filming and editing knowledge. So it'd be like from the beginning, like 0 plants to a curated collection, which I think would be kind of cool. I don't know. I think people would enjoy it.
Ooh, you're right. That would be cool to like rebuild the collection.
Yeah. And then go through all of the things of like
fun.
pests and also like, you know, making sure you're why can't we think of the word secluding a plant is maybe what quarantining
yeah,
a word we should all know very well.
Yes.
Yeah,
that would be really cool.
I think if anything,
I don't know,
honestly, I think if you were to move, you know, to another country, I think you would gain an even bigger following. And I think that your current dedicated followers would be all over that. Like, even if you were like, I'm getting rid of all of my plants, people are going to want to see that process and what that looks like, you know?
Yeah. It would be a relatively boring process because I'd pack a massive box to send to you guys.
I would love to watch that video.
Yeah.
Make your selections now because
I told Becca the other
I'm just
day.
kidding.
I think you posted about this with the anonymous question box too, and you said that your collection would go to us, and I was like, okay, like I'm torn between really not wanting you to leave this country and really loving your collection enough to be okay with that.
Like, yeah, you can go, actually.
Let's get to chatting about plants.
Let's curate our collection.
So, yeah, we are going to chat about houseplants and how to curate a collection that works for us. So, we're just going to go around, each of us sharing a tip at a time, and one of you is going to start.
I mean, we talked about it a bit in our last episode. Well, actually, that was what our last episode was about, but about the overconsumption and in collecting, especially when you're starting. But I will say that over-consuming plants helped me realize which ones, and again, I mentioned that in that episode too, but it it helped me realize which ones fit with my style, and that was Hoya. Because they're more on the succulent-esque, less fussy spectrum of plants. And sometimes I just don't want to take care of plants, or when I get motivated to, it's just a little bit longer than it should be. So I will say I'm not advocating for the overconsumption of plants, but it really helped like me see which ones could take the heat and which ones couldn't, because the ones that couldn't, you could tell. So that really helped me hone in on the ones that I wanted to keep. The ones, the philodendron, even outside of Hoya, like the philodendron that didn't mind a little bit of abuse or so, that kind of stuff.
Neglect.
The ones that they didn't need the humidity, they didn't need the special space. They were just fine with how I had them.
Yeah, you do come to learn like exactly what plants you prefer to have by experiencing a larger collection, which I feel like if you've clicked on our podcast and you're new here and you're into houseplants, you may have an abundance of plants in your home, or maybe you're considering buying a lot of plants. But I feel like you're right, because like how else are you going to really know what plants you enjoy unless you experiment with multiple different species of plants? In relation to like that, finding out like what plants you like the most and like kind of, you know, lowering, I guess, or what's the word I'm looking for? Wow. Minimizing your plant collection. I think that like realizing how much space you have in your house is also a great way to try to curate your collection, because we talked about this also in the last podcast, like the 1 in, 1 out rule. If you haven't listened to last week's episode, go listen to it. But if you know you only have a specific amount of space for your plants, that's a real easy way to like curate your collection as to like how many plants you actually should have for your space that's comfortable for your space.
Yeah.
The tip that I was going to say is timing and thinking about how you're going to carve out time to take care of your plants in your schedule. I know for me, like even just saying this right now, that seems kind of silly, because it's like, why would you need to schedule plant care? You can't really exactly schedule your waterings and stuff like that. But what I mean is just like having time dedicated in your day to just check on the plants at least. And depending on how many plants you have, that will change how much time you're going to need to spend. And I think like a big thing is people get those like big collections and they don't realize that it's like a part-time job to water them. Like it can really take hours. Like when I water my plant wall, it's like 3 hours of my life. Mm-hmm. So knowing just the amount of time that you can dedicate to the collection is super important when choosing your plants, because if you don't have a lot of time, like Adam said, wait, Adam, was this your tip?
No.
This sounds like you just said this. Okay. Oh, yours was to experiment. Okay. Yeah. Like how Adam discovered that, you know, humidity loving plants just weren't going to cut it. And it would take a lot more time and energy to keep his humidifier filled and to do all that. So he just was like, I'm not doing that anymore. Yeah, I've had similar situations with like ferns or calathea. I just already know that that's not going to be something I'm willing to dedicate time to. So I'm just not even going to bother and like waste my time, energy, and money on that. So
also, I think a big factor in all of this that goes along the lines of like all of the things we've already mentioned is like your style. Like I think about people who have or who are like very habitual plant parents. Like they have a watering day in the week and they go through and they take care. Like that is not me at all. Sometimes I wish it was. Sometimes I wish I have a very like habitual personality, but not for like good things like cleaning my house or taking care of things. Like I have it for not great things. Which is why I've never like tried a painkiller, because sometimes I get scared. I'm like, well, I don't know, because I have a very like I'm a habitual person. So anyway, random. But it's a little too deep there.
Now we know that Adam's in pain.
be a pain pill like beyond a Tylenol or an
Advil. Yeah. Like I've never had any sort of like, and not that I wouldn't, but sometimes I think about that. I get scared. But like, I don't have that sort of style. So I really love the plants that tell me that signal to me what they need. Like, oh, my Hoya are wrinkly. Like, I know I should water this now, because I'm not like, I'm not that kind of person where I'm like that focused on my plants to be like, okay, well, I watered this on this day. I also don't keep track of the last time I watered things. Like, you know, there's different styles out there for different people. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that other than like I really do like the plants that kind of tell me what they need. And even the Fittonia, even though I've hated on her for a long time, like homegirl tells you what she needs.
She knows what she needs and when she needs
it'll be blatantly obvious. So
she'll let you know.
Sometimes starting out with plants like that. And you know, to be honest, I think that if I had a smaller collection, I probably would really enjoy plants like a Fittonia or a Calathea, something that I could like really focus my time on. But like I'm not in that position right now. I've spread myself thin, but I'm also happy with what I have. But it doesn't give me time for any of those like fussies, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Plus, I don't know how people. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know how people do have a watering schedule. Like, I would love that, but plants drink at all different times. Like, they're going to only consume what they have to consume. And like, I did some plant chores the other day, and most of my Hoya, like my Leca Hoya, needed more solution in the cash po, but like some of them didn't. And I last time I gave them nutrient water, like I'm noticing they're drinking at different paces. And you have to constantly check on your plants. So like back to what Becca said, like you have to manage your time right with that. Like you should be checking on them every few days, if anything, you know? But then most of the time they'll let you know. Another thing I would recommend when trying to curate your collection would be to recognize how much light you have. And like by light, I mean like natural light to start. Because if you're going to start without any type of light substitute, like grow lights or anything like that, plants do need light. So I was talking about this on Instagram yesterday, and like my basement doesn't have much light at all. Like we have windows down there, but they're window wells, so they don't get light. Like it's zero for plants, you know? So I'm looking for like planters that have grow lights attached, because I just don't want to bring like my shelves downstairs with all my grow lights. I'd prefer them to be in a place that gets bright and direct light all day when the grow lights are not on, you know? So like recognizing the space that you're in and how much light your plants are going to get is probably a good thing to do up front too.
Yeah, that's a big one. Like if you can't meet their needs at the most basic level, then it's not going to work out.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll be okay for a little while, but you know, they're not going to thrive without light for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It kills me. I'm sure we all get comments still like, what plants can do well in my no light bathroom? I'm like, did you go to elementary science class? Like, not to be mean, but I'm just like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
No light bathroom, plants? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. If you're not willing to do grow lights.
That would be a good experiment to do, like on a YouTube video. Like to put a couple different species of genus of plants in a dark closet. Give them everything else, like fertilizer, water, but light, and see how long they last. Torturous.
Okay. I don't mean to be that guy, but you know who the Sorry Girls are?
I was just going to say they did a video like that with the bathroom.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did it. Yeah. And I don't remember I think the snake plant did the best. I think.
Of course. Okay.
I don't remember. But yeah, like it's not a long term, but I have a plant in a windowless bathroom, but like it's not doing anything. I'm actually shocked. Yeah. So like I'm not going to say I haven't ever done it, but I'm not like online like what plants to put in my windowless bathroom. I'm like very aware that it's probably not going to live, but I'm like whatever. It's just like a tiny 2-inch plant as well. I'm like whatever, I don't care. Yeah. So okay, on the idea of designing this space, because I think in order to have plants long term in a way that is like a curated collection, you want the space to look nice as well, which is not something that was my first priority. So I have several things to say in that situation, but the first thing I'll say is your pots that you choose should be cohesive. So they don't need to be the same pots. They don't even need to all be the same color, but they should be within the same color palette and like color family, I think personally. Yeah. Just because especially if you have a larger collection, like, and they're all sitting next to each other and there's like purple and yellow and green and terracotta and wood planters, like it's all just like there's no cohesion or like theme. I think that's a really easy way to make it look like really cluttered and just bad. And so just for that reason, most of my planters are terracotta or like clay that's been like fired with like a little bit of white speckle clay, like that kind of stuff. So it's like along the same line. And like I don't really have colorful pots besides like a couple. So, and I have a very big collection, and I think that makes it not look so bad because all the pots go together. So it's mostly terracotta and white with like a pop of pink or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know that might not like be as fun. And if you have like a maximalist style, then you can do whatever you want because that's different. But I'm just saying, like, for the average person who just like wants it to look nice and kind of blend in with their home, stick with like a basic neutral palette of like earth tones for your pots. I'm gonna say I think that would definitely look cohesive.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of like although like I highly doubt anyone in this position is probably listening to this podcast, but people who travel a lot, maybe for their job or I immediately go to like flight attendants. I don't know why in my head I just think that they're always in transit and never like in a space, but they are. I mean, they have days off.
Yeah.
But in those situations, there are so many different things you can do with your plants. Like I keep thinking back to Plant Daddy podcast. They have done a couple reels on Instagram about like wine bottle self-watering pots, like DIY. And I think that's such a good idea because there are a lot of people who you might travel a lot and you're like, well, I can't have plants, that kind of stuff. But there are solutions out there for that. And I don't know, this doesn't really follow along with the theme of curating your collection, but if by chance you're in that position and you think you can't have certain plants that you really love, like there are solutions out there. And I curated my Hoya collection mostly off of passive hydro because it was a lot easier for me as far as watering goes. Like I don't have to spend a ton of time watering my plants weekly because they have a solution, a nutrient solution that they wick up when they need it and when they want it. So I guess that kind of goes along with curating. Semi-hydro, passive hydro is involved at first. Once you learn like your methods and that kind of stuff, like it's fine. It's not that hard, but it does seem very overwhelming at first.
Yeah, especially when you're transferring plants from one substrate to the next.
Yeah. And I've kind of like just switched. I don't know if that's the same with you, Nicole. I know you kind of like are going back to soil, but I really started just doing cuttings. I stopped like transferring whole plants and I just started doing cuttings and just starting them in that to begin with instead of like washing off the roots of like full mature plants because it was just like just wasn't worth it to me.
Yeah, I just did a video, a plant care video, and I found most of the plants in that video that made it there were my Hoya, and they're in like 4-inch pots. And you know, something else that I do, which may be very controversial in the plant community, but I trim up my roots if they get too long in the pot, if I don't want to up pot. It's one way of just keeping your plants smaller. That's not a goal for most of us. I understand that. But, you know, if I'm just not ready for that plant to become a huge beast and I just want it to stay simple, like in that planter, I don't have a pot for it, whatever the case is. I'll just trim up the roots and it usually does the trick and it's not going to kill the plant. But yeah, that was going to actually be my next one, was like determining what substrate you're going to use for your plants, like whether it be soil or hydroponics, because yeah, like you said, it's so much easier, I guess, in a sense, once you get the hang of LECA to have a larger plant collection and not have to worry about a more regular watering schedule, for sure. That's what I find anyway. But some plants just grow like crazy in LECA, so that, I guess that could be my next one, is understanding if you are going full hydroponics and you want to use LECA as your substrate for all of your plants, understanding that some just don't do well in LECA. Like they'll do well, but then they'll do too well, and then the roots are just growing through that net pot, and it becomes a challenge very
Big
quickly.
Time. Like literally every philodendron, I feel like.
Yes.
I'm like, nope, I will never put another philodendron in passive hydro ever.
Yes.
Or syngonium.
Yeah. Yeah, Syngonium is definitely a big one. I've actually been experimenting with a cactus for a few years in Lucca, and I only have one. And it's gotten like triple the size for its conditions because I have it inside. I don't bring it outside because I can't because it's in Lucca. But I think I might experiment with more cactus. And I've said this before, and I just haven't done it because I don't want to lose any cactus. But cactus like leca, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Most people would think that they don't like it, but they get to drink when they want to drink. Like it's, I don't know, they like it.
I mean, I can see why they like it because the roots are getting so much air. Like there's nothing like crushing the roots. Like they need super airy soil.
Yeah.
And most people don't give them that. I get it. It makes sense to me. You should go buy some like burner cactus from like the big box store and experiment.
Yeah, because most of my cactus collection that's outside right now is like they all have a story. I can like say that the ones I have left, they all like have a story. I got it somewhere from someone or whatever. So I don't want to lose any of those. So yeah, maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a big part of curating your collection is just determining that too, because and most of us start with soil and that's fine.
Yeah. And want to never ever even consider leca. You're looking at one right here. Yeah, I would never.
We've tried to sway her,
leca,
folks. We've tried.
Yeah, I do understand the benefits though, because it is better for if you travel or something like that. But I don't want to.
Yeah,
nope.
It's a process. It's definitely a process.
Yeah, if I ever did have plants growing in leca, I would definitely start them from cuttings though, because just the whole thought of washing the roots and then like having to like rinse the roots multiple times, I just no, that's a huge turnoff for me. Like I could never.
Yeah.
So big no thank you on that. But I think the last thing that I have to say about this is don't be afraid to pull your plants out of windows and have them like integrated into like your home, because when I first started collecting, all of my plants were concentrated around like 2 windows, and I had that in a chokehold. Like I would not even consider putting them somewhere else and I like somewhere else in my home, because I thought like, oh, they need this amount of light and nothing less. You know what I mean? Like I just had this like really rigid view of lighting. And there's a lot of diagrams online that like can show you different, I don't know, like different positions in a home to put a plant. It's like a cross section of a home with the window, and it shows like what parts. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Which picture?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that kind of made me realize like, okay, as long as the plant can like see the sky, or I can comfortably read a book without a light on, the plant should be okay, depending on what plant it is, of course. Yeah. Now, I'm not going to put like a plant that needs like I'm not going to put a variegated monstera in a darker part of my home, because that's not going to work. Like all the white will die. It's not going to be very happy. But like a spider plant, Maranticiae, like there's just like so many plants that will do fine, like a pothos. And so realizing that really like changed things for me as far as like decorating with plants. And also I'm incorporating grow lights in my home in a way that looks nice and not in a way that feels very clinical and like lab like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like another one, like investing in good grow lights that like look nice, that like are incorporated. Like Mod Sprout sent you guys like a planter with like a light going right over it.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to have a plant in a darker spot of your home, because it looks like a feature item.
Right.
Like rather than it looking like survival, it looks like a feature, you know? So find ways to make your grow lights feature your plants and not be just like a point of survival, I think is another good one.
Yeah, I think that's really good too. And as you were saying that, I was immediately thinking of the Mod Sprout planter, and also like Soltech lights, but also just like any grow lights aside from like the Blurple ones, but like any grow light bulbs, you can put those in a lamp and put that over a plant in a dark corner, and that would be like, you know, it's helping, but it's also lighting your home, but it's also helping the plant. Like, there are ways to do that. But I was the same way. I still sort of am, was like everything was just crowded around specific windows, you know?
It's a hard habit to break.
Yeah.
I like the idea of, you know, just buying grow light bulbs and using them in your lamps, like around your house. But I'm huge on something being like, the reason I have plants in my home is because they make me feel good and not overwhelmed, and like the aesthetics are important to me. So like when you were talking about the pots and like different planters, that's like a huge thing for me. I'm not going to judge anybody, but if I go into let's talk about plant shops, right? If you walk into a plant shop and like shit's just all over the place, and there's, you know, plants are just in all these grow pots, and like there's just it's all like mismatched colors, like it's not a very good vibe. If you go into a plant shop and it's like terracotta heaven and like just seamless color, you know, that's a good feeling. You're probably going to buy from that shop before the other one, depending on price. But anyway, I like the fact that like now compared to a few years ago when we first started collecting, that more companies are coming out with lights that are aesthetically pleasing and fit in with your home decor. Because I feel like just a few years ago, we were kind of limited to those purple grow bulbs and like those gigantic, like if you have a weed farm, you're good grow lights, like those like tray grow lights, you know what I'm talking about? Not that there's anything wrong with those, but it's just not something I want in my home.
It's not beautiful.
No.
It's not giving fucking vibes.
Yeah, it's not giving fucking vibes.
It's not. We're gonna curate a list of grow lights that we like.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
We're going to do that.
Let's do it. I've gotten some recommendations since I posted on Instagram about this, because I really do want to incorporate more plants in my basement. And I love that Mod Sprout planter. There's some things I don't like about it, but there's some things that I love about it. And I was recently sent a light from... can't remember the name, sorry, but I like it a lot. It's like a desk planter, but it's a very small planter, so you're limited as to what you could put in there. But I think it'd be so cute for like a cactus garden. But it has like a built-in humidifier, it's got a light, and it like dims to different settings. It's super cute, and I want to find more stuff like that.
And that's so good for somebody who wants to just have like, maybe if they have an office job or a cubicle job and they're not near a window, to just have like a plant in their life at work.
For sure.
Yeah. Ooh, we had an idea of how to incorporate plants in your workplace. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
We should discuss that.
Yeah, especially since
fun.
Adam has experience with that, like in the earlier collecting days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
in
pre-COVID days.
Yeah. Adam could talk about office plants. I can talk about classroom plants.
Yeah.
Nicole can talk about home office plants. And J Studio.
Yeah.
J Studio. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
That would be fun.
Boom, boom, boom. That's our next episode. We picked an episode topic the week before. Stop.
Wow, we will see you next week to talk about that, you guys.
Yes.
If you enjoyed this conversation, we would love to have you as a regular listener if you aren't already. We just want to grow this podcast fam and just make you feel super special and included. So if you want to, excuse me. If you want to, we'd love for you to follow us over on Instagram, where you can get updates about episodes and also like weigh in on how you feel about things we talked about. And you can follow us. Oh, that's at Potted Together on Instagram. Sorry. And then we're also on YouTube. We've got some collabs up on YouTube. And then on Instagram individually, we are Not Dude, KNOT Dude. And then My Clean Leaves. And I am De La Plants. And we're all on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. So
Yeah,
lots of
all
things
of the
to
things.
do and entertain yourself with. So yeah, we will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Gear Patrol calls their new dive watch the best sub-$500 dive watch. Full stop. Men's Health rated them as the most stylish solar watch in the game. Who are we talking about? It's Movement. They're leveling up your gift giving with the sleekest watches you can buy and the biggest deals of the season. Shop 30 to 50% off Movement's innovative California clean watches, jewelry, and accessories with fast free shipping and returns now at mvmt.com. That's mvmt.com.